Hey everybody, and welcome back to Tenza Motorsports. In a previous video, we showed our splitter on our black M3 shell being built, but we never actually showed it truly being attached to the car. And today I want to go over these splitter rods. Before we continue today's content, we want to give a huge shout out and thank you to Super Clean who are sponsoring another giveaway. All you have to be doing to be part of this giveaway is be following us on Instagram and be in the lower continental 48 United States to receive this Super Clean giveaway. This is the original and the aerosol. I use both of these cleaners daily. That's why you see the shop as clean as it is. Keep stuff off the floor, keep stuff off the lift, off the cars. Fantastic stuff. Once again, huge thanks to Super Clean. Make sure you are following us on Instagram to be part of this giveaway. So as many of you may know, we run on quite a bit of a budget here for a couple reasons. One, I don't have infinite money. And number two, I want to show people that you can build BMWs without it being insanely expensive. People think automatically, oh, it's a BMW, it's going to be expensive. Now, when you start getting into the race car modification, stuff like that, it can be expensive, but it doesn't have to be. Now, one of the things that I always fought with buying splitter rods is how expensive some of the actual professional ones are, even though there's really not that much strength difference. These rods right here were bought for about $30 a pair. And the amount of weight these can hold compared to ones that cost 4 or 5 times as much is not going to be enough to spend that difference. If you're pulling on these hard enough to destroy these, you've already destroyed your splitter, and oftentimes you've actually started ripping them out of the car where it's actually mounted to the vehicle. But that wasn't the hardest thing. This outer rod is fairly long. As you can see here, this isn't some little tiny dinky little rod. You'll see cars builds where people will basically put a lip on their car and they'll run a splitter rod like this. Well, first off, you don't need a splitter rod there. And number two, a 6-inch rod is not going to fit right here. I think this is closer to 13 inches between where this mounts and up where we built a bracket. So I want to go over real quick how we mounted this up, and then I also want to show I do have a new pair and we'll be putting them on my white race car. And we'll get to the splitter rods on the white race car in just a moment. So basically what I did with mounting these, when you're doing this, you want to make sure that the bumper that's underneath your bumper cover. Now on the M's, this is a little bit more difficult because the carbon fiber actually sits this way and then the bumper comes over top of it this way. On the 330s, the non-M's, it's a metal bumper and it sits this way on the car, and then the bumper sits over top of it. So what that means is you can get from the bottom side and then reach your hand up back behind there and put a screw through it. And this one's a little bit more difficult, and I didn't take the bumper off to install this bracket. We ran three self-tapping screws. I know it's a little bit more painful because this is actually carbon fiber underneath here, but we ran 3 self-tapping screws into that. It'll be plenty sturdy for now, and when the next time we take the bumper off, I'll actually go in there and properly mount some nuts and bolts. Most of you are doing non-M cars, and that's super easy, like I explained earlier. Like literally, I don't even think you have to take anything really apart. You can just get underneath there, you can reach your hand back up behind, and it's not a big deal. The center ones here are the same idea. And then the brackets that I have here, and these are similar brackets to what's on my white one, it's literally just an L bracket. So you'll have the top of it going up to your bumper, and then the bottom section here grabs your splitter rod, goes down, and then you can adjust this. You can bend it depending on what angle you want to do. And then for these middle ones here, you actually have to cut the grill out just a little bit, and you want to cut just enough to get the splitter rods through it. Obviously the white car here doesn't need that because we have an intercooler, and so I've actually removed this grill altogether, and eventually this will have some sort of forced induction system that will have an intercooler. So let's open up a new box of these. I'll show you everything that's in it, and then we'll go down here and we will replace the ones on my race car. So these are sold in a pair. I'll have the link to these in the description below, and like I said, they're $33. So you're 66 bucks for all 4 of them, all the ones that you'll need to do. And if you buy the professional ones, they can be like $60 a piece. You can spend a couple $100s on splitter rods, and there's just, if you can make this length here work, there's no reason to buy something that's unreasonably expensive. So let's pop these open. I'll show them off real quick. So they're made by session, anyways. I'll have them linked in the description. So here are the elevator bolts with the washers on them, and they actually recessed so that you can have these sit basically flush. And then you have your rods here, and they are opposite threads of each other. So as you spin this in the middle, it goes out on both sides or goes in on both sides. You can see right there in the middle. That's how you'll tighten them. So you'll run these nuts up to where they need to sit. You can put a wrench here and a wrench here, and then you can tighten, make sure that they're not gonna move around. And then they give you 4 of these. That's 2 for each one. And that's basically it. Now, I did use these on the top of this race car, but I didn't use them on the bottom, and I'll show that here in just a second what our plans are. Spacing on a splitter is very important. We actually use some larger washers. And this is done for 2 reasons. One, if you use the ones that it comes with, these are slightly thicker, and since this car is gonna be sitting fairly low to the ground, you want this to be as flat as you can get. You can go and buy bolts like this that basically have a big washer like that built in, and it is even skinnier than that. I have some of those down on this car, and I'll show those in a minute. And I also wanted more surface area. And then the spacing, basically, we just barely took the washer and gave it just enough space that it's not hanging out the edge, and that's what they end up looking like. I think the car looks very good, very aggressive. I like the black. It's a little less poppy than mine is. Mine are just a bare metal. I believe these are actually zinc. These are Home Depot and Lowe's rods. I can't remember which one I bought them from. I think I bought a little bit of hardware from each store. And basically they're just I think these are for like gates and things like that. They're just in their hardware section, I think. And then I had to buy this one, which was an extended rod, to make sure that the outer ones fit. And that's all they've been this entire time. There's only one locking nut. They're just as sturdy. They just don't look as good, and I've always wanted to get some real ones. And I think these black ones will make the front of my car look very aggressive. It will kind of like tie into the rest of the car, where I don't really have a lot of exposed metal except for those rods in the front. I guess I've got the intercooler, but they're right next to each other. I don't know. I think the black will look better. It'll be a little bit better design. The other thing is my outer ones are like maxed all the way out. There's like 1 rotation of threads in there. And so that locking nut at the top is very important for the outside ones, because it will fall off if you're not careful. Let's get these taken off. This one will be pretty easy to do because everything's already built. All the brackets are there. The majority of doing this project is doing the brackets. So this one's just an eye bolt that I ran through the bottom of the bumper. And then over here is very similar to what we did to the M3. You can see that it is just an L bracket. So that's just screwed in. You can see the bumper, the metal bumper, back in there. And that's what we're mounting to. So anyways, enjoy a quick time lapse of me just replacing these real quick. I'm pretty quick at getting it taken off.
Bam!